Hello and welcome into another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. We have a super packed show for you today. We are reviewing Chris Nolan's latest blockbuster hit, Tenet. And in honor of Tenet, we are going to wrap up the show with our Schoolyard pick of Chris Nolan films. And of course, as always, we will get you caught up with all of the latest news in movie and television with What's Poppin'. Let's do it. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast with your co-host, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
I am your other co-host, Cam, and we're trying out a new format tonight. So for those of you who are listening in the traditional sense, in the traditional way, we're doing this video. We're doing it via video, so we're going to be trying this format out. If it works, it'll be on YouTube whenever you guys are listening to this. So if you'd rather watch us, go to YouTube. If this format totally doesn't work, it won't be. Right? Like that's basically the long and short of it.
Yeah, we'll redo the whole thing if that's the case. Quick question. Can they see me right now, Cam?
Not if they're listening on Apple Podcasts, but
okay.
But if they're
on
watching
YouTube?
on YouTube, yeah, sure.
Okay, so my dancing for the interlude, they saw all that?
Part of it, because I went to a GIF of the Popcorn for Breakfast logo, but then I switched back. So yes, I did get some dancing in there. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you did get a little
Yeah,
bit
because
of
that happens
the good
every
parts.
week. That's what people don't know, because they only hear us, and that's why we wanted to try this out, because we're very animated folks. Look, I'm moving my hands right now. This is a multimedia experience. There's lots of different things happening. So. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how the audio quality turns out. We'll see how everything turns out, but we're giving it a shot. What you guys also missed before this, and what you would have missed whether we had done video or not, was me and Kirk trying to out-nice each other before this show and be like, hey, are you ready to go? No, I'm not, man. Take your time. No, you take your time. It's going to be all right whenever you're ready, but don't hurry. It's all good. That went on for hours. It went on for literal hours.
7 p.m.
And it's 10 now. For those of you scoring at home, it's actually 10 p.m. So, that's where we're at. So, what else, Kirk? We're both wearing our PFB shirts like a bunch of nerds.
We are.
Available for purchase. Look, Kirk's going to model it. Ooh. It looks good. Ever so stylish.
Talk like the picture is talking.
Yes. Oh, hey. You're gonna make
I have no idea.
I don't know what that was, but yeah, you can get those shirts still available. You can DM us for that, and they're $18 a piece. We ship to anywhere in the country. I don't say anywhere in the world because I haven't figured that out yet, and nobody's asked me. So don't. I mean, you could. I could try to figure it out. I don't know.
Wait, but if someone from Europe was like, "Hey, Cam, I want that shirt. I want your faces on my torso."
Yeah.
Would we ship it?
I guess. I don't know. I might have to Jeff Probst it and ride a wave runner across the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know what we would do. It's kind of panicking at the thought of it, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, you wouldn't be able to self-deliver it because there are
right.
What are those things called? Passports.
There's restrictions
not
with the COVID and the pandemic and all of it. So,
but we would try to UPS it to another country.
We would.
Maybe.
Yeah, we totally would. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tenet this week. Tenet, right above me. Tenet. The moment we've all been waiting for. Yeah, it's directly above me. You can't see it, Kirk.
Can you Oh, I thought you were going to put a cool graphic when you pointed.
No.
Can you do that?
I can do that. I won't.
Can you put one across my forehead?
No, Kirk, because that means that
my giant.
That means me doing hours of video editing tonight after all of this, and I don't really want to do that. The whole reason I formatted this way was just so I could just grab it and go straight to YouTube. No manual intervention at all.
If you surprise me, I won't
Don't
be
get
mad.
your hopes.
So.
Don't get your hopes up. It's not happening. But yeah, we're reviewing Tenet this week. This is a movie, man. Feels like we waited eternity. I think it's definitely like magnified by the fact that we wanted to see this movie so badly. Because in reality, like, we haven't waited longer for this movie than we've waited for Bond 25. Or what's the real name of that movie? No Time to Die?
No Time to Die.
Yeah. So we haven't waited longer than we did for that. And we haven't waited longer. We've waited the same amount of time for like Wonder Woman, but we really wanted to see this movie because it's Chris Nolan. And that's
right.
kind of like the beginning and the ending of that. Like, that's all you need to know. It's Chris Nolan. I mean, this is a guy who's directed, I think, 11 feature-length films, the vast majority of which are incredible, world-class, among the best that have come out in our lifetime. So this is an interesting one. I can't wait for you guys to hear our review. I can't wait for you guys to see it. If you haven't, I tweeted out the other day, this is a movie you have to see in the theaters. Okay? And Kirk, would you agree with that? You have to see it in the theaters?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I think that
yeah.
once you've seen it in theaters, then you can watch it at home. But for your first viewing, like, it has to be in theaters. It has to. Because it's such an epic cinematic experience. It's loud, it's fast, it's flashy. The music is very cinematic and just sweeping and awesome. So it's just one of those things that you have to experience in a theater. And I know that lots of people are not comfortable with going to theaters right now, and that's fine. So I don't know, man. I'm hoping they re-release it later on, like once there's a vaccine and everybody's feeling like, things are starting to get back to normal, because like this last weekend was opening weekend for Tenet. It made $20 million in the US, which is like insanely low. I mean, all things considered, yeah. It's good, I guess. But like we're used to seeing big blockbuster movies make $100 million in their first weekend. Tenet would have no doubt been in that category. So there's the fact remains, a ton of people haven't seen this movie yet. And so when you get the chance, make sure it's in the theater. That's all I have to say.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, there's without spoiling, there's an incredible opening scene that I don't think would play as well on a first viewing in your home than it does in a public setting of a theater, because there's it's a big moment at the beginning of this movie, and it's telling a lot of stuff in this big moment in the beginning. So that alone, that just the opening 6 minutes of this movie, you need to go see it in the theater.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then stick around for the rest of it, please.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, that's exactly where my head's at. And I think, like Kirk said, spoiler free. We're going to give a spoiler free review. So hopefully it gives you everything you need to know without giving you too much. We're going to tell you exactly what to expect. We're going to tell you how much we liked the movie or disliked it. But we'll do it all spoiler free like we always do. So definitely excited about that one. And then, getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, next week's going to be Mulan. We're going to be reviewing that one, and a little bit of dipping our we're come on.
Did we pick?
Yes, we're going to review it, but don't worry, Kirk. We're going to do some password shenaniganry so that only one of us has to get the access, because $30, let's be honest, steep. For a movie that we found out this week will be on Disney Plus for all users in December. So, I mean,
right.
That it keeps getting a little bit more and more wild. I mean, it was like when it first came out, it was like $30, and we were like, wow, that's heavy. But then it was like, oh, but you can watch it as many times as you want, which I was like, that's okay. Like, that's nice-ish. I don't think I'm going to be watching it. Like, I just don't typically do that. Like, I'm not just going to watch a movie over and over and over again. It has to be incredible for it to be that, which would be great if it was. But then now it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, it's coming out in December with your normal subscription, no Premiere Access. And I'm like, man, that makes the $30 way harder to swallow.
I mean, to put it in perspective, I spent $24.47 on Burger King 2 nights ago. So
dinner for your family, right?
That's right. Oh no, that was just me.
Oh
I just
yeah,
got a lot of
sure.
food.
Just a couple Whoppers. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So like putting that into perspective of an entire meal,
I know.
Mulan.
2 hours
I
of
gotta go
entertainment.
food.
Yeah. What? Like I know. It's a tough pill to swallow for sure. But those are the bullets that we take for you guys on a week in, week out basis. We see things
That's right.
so that you don't have to. No, I'm just kidding. You should always see what we're reviewing because it makes it more fun.
It does.
What else is going on?
I got no idea, man. I've been so busy at work this
Yeah.
week that I've just been like, I get home, I put the kids to bed, and then like the night just disappears. That's it. That's all there is. I've been watching some old classics like AFI Top 100 films recently.
Love it.
And just trying to mark those off my
Sure.
list, and yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Speaking of bedtimes, man, the 4-month-old. I think I've bragged about the baby on this podcast before, being like a really good baby, and I don't like. You can't be a bad baby, obviously. Like you're just a baby. But man, he's putting us through the ringer. He's putting us through the ringer right now, man. He used to be like totally chill, but now he's got teeth coming in. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
Dude, I can't handle it. I'm like, listen, you have to just like start out being a whiny baby. You can't be like a super good, quiet, like chill baby, and then be like, nope, my teeth hurt. Now I'm mad forever.
by the way, just pull the rug right out from underneath you.
I'm like, come on, man. We got to settle into some sort of routine here. So right now, my wife, who is an absolute saint, is downstairs with the baby by herself. So it could be. I mean, I'm at home this week, so you could hear some screaming. You could hear the real deal. But she's taken that one for the team, which I greatly appreciate.
Bravo. Yeah, shout out to both of our wives. They are, Jackie's home all day long, Aubrey's home all day long. You're home all day long, Cam. I'm an essential worker, so I'm out and about. Actually, I'm just literally in my office all day, but I am an essential worker.
Yes.
So, but for real, the moms.
Yeah, we need to get
killing it.
We need to get podcast wives shirts. It's like military wives.
I love this.
Because in some ways, and I don't want to compare us to the military. I never will. So that's not what this is at all. Actually, I should just stop. I should just stop right now. Actually, but they make sacrifices. That's all I'm trying to say. They make some sacrifices for sure.
This is a good time to talk about what's popping and go in a completely different
let's
direction.
Do it.
What
let's
do you
go
think?
in a completely different direction and talk about what's popping. Kirk's looking around like those pops are unfolding around him. Like they're closing in on him.
It's like the birds, but it's popcorn.
Do you want me, when I'm video editing later, do you want me to like video edit some like pieces of popcorn flying at you during that scene? Yeah, that would be good.
All right, we're up to two
edits. Okay.
Tenet across
All
my
right.
face and popcorn just raging at my
Sweet,
face
man.
as well.
It'll only take me till 6 a.m. to complete that, and then I have to work a full day tomorrow. No, not happening. Okay, slow news week. All right, bear with us. Slow. We're struggling. Okay, we got to run social every day. We're trying to get like good, decent content that you guys want to read out the door. It's been tough.
Yeah,
it's been tough this week.
That's why you just get random pictures of me all the time.
Yes,
just living my life.
And that's why I just memed Timothy Chalamet today. I was just like, listen, I don't know what we're doing here. Okay, but speaking of Timothy Chalamet, yesterday was a big day because yesterday was September 9th, which we've been hearing for the last week or so was going to be the day that the Dune trailer dropped, and it did. It dropped live on Twitter. I watched it. It was so first they had like this Q&A with the cast where they had like Timothy Chalamet and Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, like the whole crew. Denis Villeneuve was there. The GOAT, as I like to refer to him these days.
Yes.
He's incredible. He was there. And Stephen Colbert was hosting this whole thing, which was interesting. Stephen Colbert was actually a great choice because for those of you who are familiar with him, he is like a huge sci-fi fantasy junkie, like knows more about Lord of the Rings than anyone currently living. Like he is about
Yes.
that life in a pretty major way. And so he undoubtedly is like all about Frank Herbert's Dune series, which is a series. It's, I think the original movie that came out was only one shot, right? It was just a one movie deal, or were there sequels?
Yes. Yeah. It was one long, tedious movie. Yes.
Yeah, I think you went and watched that recently, didn't you?
I did. I watched it like maybe a month ago because I was, getting ready. I was like, I got to be ready when Dune comes out.
Sure.
Dune, the reboot. And Kyle MacLachlan is in it. And it was just vastly disappointing.
Yeah, sure. I've not heard good things about it. And honestly, just like seeing stills and like short clips from that movie make you go like, that's a little questionable for sure.
Yeah, it was just so lackluster. And I think the last probably half an hour of that movie, I was just like kind of scrolling, like, no, I don't want to watch this part. Not that it was like gory, it was like, this is just really boring. And yeah, so seeing the trailer for this is so much more exciting than that movie
let's dig into that. Let's dig into the trailer. So first of all, this cast, I think we've talked about on this show before. This cast is insane. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, obviously, his reputation definitely precedes itself by now. So you've got people lining up at the door for projects like this, and I think, as we alluded to, I think the Frank Herbert book series of Dune is like 5 books. I'm going to be wrong there, but that's that's what I thought. They're long. So, if this movie is a success, I see no reason at all why they wouldn't finish out the story with this cast or, whoever is still relevant in the next movie. So this could be the next big franchise if they play their cards right. But listen to this cast. I mean, it's insane. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård. The list goes on. And so that's an insane cast with some people that I really, really respect. Rebecca Ferguson, probably close to the top of that list. I think she's really brilliant, and I love to see her getting. I love to see her getting more work because she's just so good. But what'd you think of this trailer, Kirk?
I was very excited for it. It just felt how this movie should be.
Yeah, sure.
Could you say the director's
Denis
name for me
Villeneuve.
real quick? Yes, he is.
I love how you won't even attempt it. You're just like, Cam, if you could, please.
Every time. And it's not so much that I don't want to attempt it. It's just that your eloquence with his name, you've really trained yourself up that I just got to throw it to you, man. There's no one who can do it better than Viz.
I appreciate
it. You got it. So what he has created in his career is just massive mystery personified on screen. Like it looks like a dream, like a mysterious dream that you can't quite put your finger on, but as soon as you see it, you're like, oh, this is that. So I think that when I saw this, it's exactly what I expected and hoped from this director. It's exactly what, having seen the original film, exactly the direction that it should have gone.
Yeah.
Whatever, 30 years ago. So yeah.
I mean, this is a space epic that really, people who are really into sci-fi, that I've talked to have told me for years, this is among the best. So it's surprising that we're just now getting to the point where we're seeing that, in an age where everything is redone and everything is remade, and it's been that way for really the last decade or so. It's surprising that just now someone's taking a crack at Dune, but I really think they found the right person. I mean, for those of you who aren't familiar, Denis Villeneuve directed Sicario. I think the full Sicario series, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, Prisoners. I mean, just huge movies that are all really high quality. So this is a great fit for him. I think it's exciting. Timothy Chalamet said in the Q&A that they had that he maybe shot 2 scenes in front of a green screen, which is insane, right? For a sci-fi space epic, like how is that even possible?
Nuts.
But I mean, Denis Villeneuve just really committed to the practical aspects of this movie, and he wanted the cast to be inspired by being in the desert. He wanted them to feel the sand. He wanted them to be there. And in an age where so many filmmakers are going the other way, that's something you have to really respect. It's something that will make this movie, undoubtedly better than it would have been if it was riddled with CGI. So,
yes,
kudos to him. I'm very excited. I think this looks good. I think that we are going to get a full series. I think this could be the next generation's Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Is that bold? I think it's big. I think it's going to be really big.
I'm for it. As someone who has still yet to see all of the Lord of the Rings films all the way through, also co-host of Movie Podcast.
No, it's okay.
I think that this could be.
You can't see everything. That's just
right.
The reality of it. You can't. I have a poster right behind me for those of you who are watching on video that has 100 movies on it that I'm trying to work my way through, and you'd be surprised, I'm sure, at some of the titles because there have been so many incredible movies, but you can't see everything. I think we're going to try our darndest to do so, but yeah, I think this could be good. It certainly looks like it's on the right track. Now, what's interesting is release date, right? TBD, because a lot of things are still moving and shaking with Warner Brothers. I mean, I was reading earlier that they don't even really know what they're going to do with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, which has been delayed multiple times already, they're kind of wondering, like, what's the landscape going to be? Are people going to go see our movie? I think it's right now scheduled for, I thought it was maybe November 12th. But anyway, they were thinking about postponing it again. I don't know. Which that is sort of the thing that Warner is basing all of their projects on, because they have a ton of stuff floating around right now with James Bond and Dune and everything else that they have going out the door. So they're really dictating a lot of what's being released right now. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Tenet was supposed to be the movie that brought everyone back, right? There was kind of the goal to make it just this massive milestone in culture.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Nolan was hell-bent on that. I mean, he was like, this is going to theaters.
Yeah, and he got it to theaters.
Sure.
He did. Just not when everyone could go.
I know, man. I was like, mission accomplished? ? Like, yep, it got its release.
It's like, these movies can go to the theater. Technically, it's just how much do they want to lose on distribution and return on investment with who can go and who can't go and who won't go.
Absolutely.
Wonder Woman slated for October 2nd, currently, tentatively. and and then I just saw it. Dune is slated for December, December 2020. Right now.
Yeah, I think it was like a Christmas window release. People are holding their breath. I mean, Christmas is a huge holiday for movies. So many movies come out on Christmas. So many people go to the movie theaters on Christmas. So that's really going to be telling. Is if you start seeing those Christmas movies pushed, that tells you there's not a lot of optimism for there being a lot of butts and seats in December. So we'll see what happens. We might just get like a short wave of a couple of movies going to theaters, and then we right back in the situation we were before. Right. Okay, on that topic of COVID and delays and things like that, COVID hit the set of The Batman this week as Robert Pattinson, Batman himself, subdued. He was tested positive for COVID-19. So the way that it's basically working is there's still work being done in the sense that, like, people who are building out set pieces, like people who are not a part of the film crew, who are more like, I don't know, construction, set building, things like that, things that are not exactly related to the actual ongoing production. They can continue work, but anybody who was around Pattinson gets a mandatory quarantine per studio policy. So they're all hunkering down for the next 14 days while this blows over.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, like you said, the construction of sets, the B-roll could continue, but otherwise, what a
Tough,
bummer.
tough
I
to make a
mean,
movie these
you
days,
get
man.
this, yeah, you get this great momentum with this incredible trailer and all this mystery, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, sorry, the star has COVID-19, so we have to put a pause on the
So here was
production.
my thought, and this will segue somewhat nicely into our next story. But like, think about the Mandalorian, which is kind of interesting. Like, the Mandalorian started production after the first season came out. Like, it was starting basically in conjunction with that. So that was like Disney Plus came out November 12th, 2019. So
Hmm.
they were doing production through COVID. Like, how are we getting a full season of The Mandalorian? At the end of
No
October,
clue.
like that's the kind of stuff that makes no sense to me. Like, some of these projects just cannot get moving. Some were just halted indefinitely, and others, like the Batman, are getting hit with COVID. Like, how did they manage to pull off an entire season of The Mandalorian? And get it released October 30th. The whole thing is just so crazy. I guess they
They were just
choosing
like,
their
shh,
locations.
don't tell anybody we're filming.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Speaking of The Mandalorian, which I know everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but legitimately, like, everybody is very stoked about. So that's coming out October 30th, season 2. It's dropping on Disney Plus. I think they're doing week to week again, which, boo.
Stupid.
But we got our first look at The Mandalorian with some photos. You know how Entertainment Weekly does this, where they get like Entertainment Weekly exclusive, and they get like these set photos. I think they did the same thing.
Da-da-da,
Yeah,
da-da-da.
exactly.
Yep.
So we got some of those for The Mandalorian. Anything there? I'm reaching because, like I said, we're short on news. Anything there that anything to glean from those photos, and if you want to find them, you can find them on social.
Oh, good, because I
Well,
need
I'll
to
start
refresh my
then. I'll
memory.
start. These photos don't really show much. It's like a picture of Giancarlo Esposito, a picture of, the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda. What we did not get, glaring omissions, no look at Ahsoka Tano, which I was like, ugh, come on. No look at Boba Fett, because we know they've cast a Boba Fett, right? And whether that's in some sort of like flashback capacity, or whether that's, I don't know, whether he's alive and well, survived the Sarlacc pit, I don't know. And then no look at what's the guy, Timothy Oliphant, his character. No look at him, and he's the other
Yes.
new notable newcomer to this cast. We got to look at a bunch of people we'd already seen. There was a shot of the Mandalorian riding on a speeder, like a stormtrooper type speeder, but really like nothing there.
Yes.
And so I feel like that is sort of like telling, in the sense that like they're not showing a lot. I think that whatever is going on with Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett, like, they're wanting to keep like way, way, way under wraps. Otherwise, if it wasn't huge, they would be like showing it all over the place, don't you think? I mean, I think that they're hiding it for a
Right.
reason.
Yeah, if they leak anything else, it'll be just like, oh, the detectives of the internet, and especially of the Star Wars kind, as we know, they are going to dissect it and figure out and connect all the dots before it comes out, because that's who those people are. So,
Yeah.
we also got the Tusken
Oh yeah, we
Raiders.
did see Tusken Raiders. That
One,
is a good call out. There is one shot that looks
one,
like it could have
just
been
one.
taken straight out of A New Hope. That's like literally a Tusken Raider riding on a bantha. At first, I was like, I need to like Google image search
Yeah.
this to make sure that this didn't exist prior to these exclusive photos, because it literally looks like it's straight from
Right.
Episode 4.
Yeah, I mean, if you've played Disney Infinity, it basically looks like that one town. I
Yeah,
mean, it's Star Wars, but what town is
Tatooine.
that?
Well, I mean,
It's on
oh,
the
Mos
city on
Eisley.
Tatooine that they're in. What is
Mos
that?
Eisley.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So that's it looks like they're there, honestly, based on the backgrounds. But I
Yeah,
mean,
so I mean
there's
that
a
is
thousand
something,
cities that look
because
like that in Star Wars.
you would imagine, and again, like, I haven't read every Star Wars book, but wouldn't you think that the Banthas and the Tusken Raiders are native only to Tatooine? I mean, they're not like
I
a
would
super advanced culture. They're not flying around in spaceships. Like they ride on these big giant mammoth things.
Right. I would think so as well. So maybe that's what's kind of snuck in here in this little,
Yeah.
like the racer that he's on. Well, we remember those in Return of the Jedi, and the big vault door that they're trying to bust through,
Yeah.
and the Ewoks. Are we getting Ewoks in the
I know the
Mandalorian
only
season
place
2?
that
I
we've
don't know.
seen those speeders specifically is on Endor. So it's like, but it doesn't
Exactly.
look like he's on Endor. It just looks like he
No.
honestly looks like he's on Tatooine. So I don't know what's going
He
on
stole
there.
it. It's from Endor. He went to Endor. He put it on a cargo ship and he took it to Tatooine because he knew that he didn't want to get his boots dusty. So that's exactly what's
I love
happening
it.
in this photo,
I
I
love
think.
it.
So
Speculating wildly. That is our favorite pastime here on Popcorn for Breakfast. Okay, moving on. Kirk, this is one that I know holds a very special place in your heart, so I'm going to give you a moment to talk about it a little bit. The Walking Dead
Okay.
is coming to an end after 11 seasons. Its 11th season will air in 2022. It's going to be a mammoth 24 episodes.
yeah.
What's your reaction to this? Because so for history, Kirk and I really like early on in our brother-in-law ship bonded over The Walking Dead. We watched it probably
Yes.
longer than most people. You watched it longer than me, but I would say that like you and I sort of hung on a lot longer than some other people. What's your reaction to this news?
Yeah, I've actually watched every episode and I'm still waiting on the
Oh
season
yeah,
finale of
yeah.
season 10.
You're still going.
Yeah.
Okay,
I told myself that I would stop watching if they ever got rid of Rick
sure.
Grimes. And then they got rid of Rick Grimes.
They sure
And I
did.
said, well, they got rid of him in the middle of a season. So I said, well, let me watch the rest of the season. And then what happened in season 10 is that it was as if they fired all of their writers and hired new ones.
Yeah,
And the storyline was so much better, but it's not because Rick Grimes was gone. It's because they knew that they had a huge void to
yeah,
fill with Andrew Lincoln gone. So people like who left and came back, they're like, oh, it's so much better with Rick Grimes gone. It's like, no, you're a problem. You're a toxic fan. You're a toxic fan, and Rick Grimes is the best human on earth. Sorry, I'm a little passionate about this. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what happens in first of all, the finale of season 10, what happens in season 11, because I think there's going to be a lot of connections to the Rick Grimes films.
that's awesome.
There are
Yeah.
supposed to be 3 of them that are all interconnected because Rick Grimes is still alive. So that is what I'm super pumped for, more than, it should have ended probably in like season 8.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew Lincoln was the heart and soul of that show. I mean, let's be honest. Let's not kid ourselves. Like, yes, the show got bad while he was on it, but it wasn't because they were, writing his storyline. It was just that, I don't know, everything was played out. The acting got bad. The writing got washed up. They just hit a dead end and couldn't get through it. They tried to just plow through it, and they really couldn't. So they did need that big big reset. I think it just came too late. So the people that were still around were diehards, and they were watching no matter what anyway. But the people had left weren't coming back. I mean, they weren't like, oh, thank God, Rick Grimes is gone. I'm gonna join back in. It just yeah. There's such a finesse and an artistry and restraint needed to understand when a show has met its end and when it's played out and when it needs to be ended. And even some really great shows have failed to identify that and go out on their right terms. This one adds to the list for sure.
Yeah, which is ironic because AMC has been consistently successful in knowing when a show should end. But I think there were a
Mad
lot
Men and Breaking
more.
Bad. Is that what you're alluding to? Mad Men. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think there were a lot English. A lot of other circumstances with the Walking Dead franchise, since it wasn't its own single intellectual property. It was the comic book series, of course, first,
Yep.
and it was such a home run in the beginning. So I think that's why they just wanted to hold on to it. There's still even a new series of The Walking Dead coming out. Two, the one that they already planned of like kids who grew up in the world of zombies, and the second one being a Daryl and Carol spinoff. It's
that's
crazy.
right. So that's the other big news coming out of this. Like they tried to soften the blow for the diehards because they know that the people who are still watching right now are in it for the long haul, and they're going to be really sad to hear this news. But they softened the blow by saying, "Hey, we're giving you a Daryl and Carol." I hope it's called Daryl and Carol. That would be amazing. It'd be so stupid but so epic at the same time. But they're doing a spin-off of that. So, yeah, look forward to that, TWD fans. If you're still on board for that. I really didn't like what they did to Carol's character. That was one that hurt me too because she starts off so cool, right? Like she's this maternal figure who like goes through this amazing transformation because she's got this husband who's abusive and she deals with him, right? Like she takes care of business on that.
Or she deals with him. Mm-hmm.
And she loses her daughter, in the most tragic of tragic fashions, right? Like that to me is still like the iconic scene in that show, I think. Like that's the thing that still sticks out to me about that show, is the scene with her daughter. And becomes this just like total baller. And then they're just like, they don't want her around. And then she comes back and it's just like, and she just gets really played out.
Yeah, she becomes like a yo-yo because they're like, oh, people, they really want to see Carol right now. Let's not show her. Let's put her away in a cabin. And then it's like, oh, the world. There's no way we've written our characters into a hole. Well, we need our Deus Ex Machina is Carol, and she comes in and she saves everyone.
I know.
Which, sometimes it was a good.
Yeah,
strategy,
I think the first time that they
time
did it was cool. Like it was like, oh, nice, But then it was like, what do you do with this character? Like, you brought her back for this epic moment, but now she has no place. You have to, like, write all these weird things to, like, make her a part and keep her relevant. I don't know. It got real messy.
Yeah. It's kind of like Grey's Anatomy syndrome where you have all of these core couples, okay? And then they're like, oh, well, they're cheating on them with so-and-so, and Dr. whatever is going here with them, and that lady lost a leg in a plane accident. So at some point, everyone has... hooked up with everyone else, and then you're like, they just keep going back and forth like 18 times.
Exactly.
It's just too much.
Like, okay.
Grey's Anatomy syndrome.
Let's coin it. I like it. All right, so that's TWD. So sorry, we'll shed a silent tear for the TWD fans as they are losing their beloved program. Hey, good run. You know what? You had it for a long time. You got your spinoffs, so just. You'll get through this. It's going to be okay. All right. Next. Following up on a story that we brought to you that has an update, we were talking about Bel Air, which, of course, is the dramatic retelling of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air from Morgan Cooper. Kirk is out. He's gone. And the reason for that is that what we reported last time is that the bidding for this show was between HBO Max, who, by the way, has the rights to The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Netflix, and then Peacock. And who did it go to, Kirk?
Stupid
Peacock. Yeah, it went to Peacock, which, like, come on. Isn't Peacock free, though, Kirk? I'm pretty sure Peacock's free. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, like IMDb
Yeah,
TV?
dude, I think it is. I think it's free.
Is it really?
I think so.
Well, I still hate it because it shouldn't be. I don't want to watch commercials when I'm watching the dramatic retelling of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
The base tier of Peacock is completely free, ad-supported, more limited version of the service. So I don't know if this will fall into that, but they still say they have roughly 13,000 hours. Roughly 13 hours. That would be hilarious. Roughly 13,000 hours of NBC Universal content. Not 13 hours. It's not just like one season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's 13,000 hours. So sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, if it's added to that and we can log on and watch it for free, like, I'm not going to be mad about it. It's just like Peacock, man. Am I right?
I'll be mad about it, and I won't
For no
watch
reason,
it.
just out of principle. No.
Dude, like 30 minutes before we started filming, I guess like Will Smith sent out like a tribute because it's the anniversary of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like celebrating with HBO Max. Like, bro. And the writer of the reboot, go to HBO Max with this show. That's just...
Well, from what I would guess is that, Will Smith, he announced it on Facebook with the video with Chris Collins, who's from The Wire, who's going to be helping write this, which is very exciting. And then Morgan Cooper, who, of course, is the creator of this whole world, this idea. He posted a video with them, and he kept kind of like dwelling on the fact that they got a 2-season order. Like, oh, we got a 2-season order. We got a 2-season order that never happens. And I think that's probably because Peacock was probably the only one to give them a 2-season order because they're Peacock and they need content. That's all speculation, but that would be my guess. Like, I don't think Netflix almost certainly wasn't committing to more than 1 season because they're like the Amazon of content, they're like, they're misers. And HBO Max, I don't know. I doubt it. Plus they're like all premium everything. So who knows, they're probably speculation, but I would bet that Peacock is the one that gave them a 2-season order and nobody else did. And Will Smith was like, listen, just take my advice. This never happens. Take your check and let's go. So that's my theory on it. But yeah, Peacock for the win. What's the Peacock call? I think that's what they sound like in the wild. I'm pretty sure. I think that was actually an actual peacock. That wasn't me, believe it or not. No, they probably have the boom, 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 right? The little thing.
What if that's the sound that peacocks make?
That's how they got the idea for it. They were like, "Oh, wow, that's a really unique animal sound." I guess we'll make that our official sound with that. For our TV network. Anyway, there's that. Last news story I threw in here because I'm selfish and I want to talk about it. Because this is a bit of a deep cut. So, Venice Film Festival is happening. I didn't really like look into this because I assumed that none of the big major film festivals were happening, especially Venice, because like Italy got smoked by COVID early on. But Venice happened in some capacity. I need to look into it because I know like TIFF is doing all digital, so I don't know if Venice did the same thing. But the big talk of the town coming out of the Venice Film Festival is a little film called Pieces of a Woman. And it stars Shia LaBeouf and Vanessa Kirby, two of our faves. Well, I shouldn't speak for you. Vanessa Kirby's one of my upcoming faves. I think she's great. Of The Crown, right? She was in The Crown? Yeah, that's right. She's great.
Among like 100 other
she's been in a ton of things. Right, she's very good. This movie, we got a clip of it. We posted it on our social a couple days ago. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. We posted it on social. I think it looks great, and it is the talk of the town. People are, they're bidding for rights to that film right now. I think Netflix is in on it, a couple of others. It should be coming to us this year in time for Oscar season, and it will probably be releasing digital because of everything that's going on. Are you excited for this one, Kirk?
Very excited. I mean, I'm not going to turn anything away from Shia LaBeouf. Even the tax collector that just got absolutely smoked.
Did you watch it?
By reviews. No, but I want to, and I probably
Where's
will,
it at?
When the price comes.
Oh, it's
Amazon
VOD.
Video on Demand.
Yeah, VOD. Okay.
VOD. I still want to watch it because he got real tattoos.
I know
his role. Like that's
insane. I know.
And I love Vanessa Kirby. I'm gonna see this absolutely. It just looks so fascinating.
Yeah, the subject matter is yikes. Did you read what it's about?
No.
Oh, it's about a couple that has a home birth tragedy.
Oh yes. My gosh.
Yeah, so it's going to be heavy with a capital H and capital all the other letters as well, but yes.
It's not funny in the slightest, but because I was so unexpected.
I know. Sometimes you get shocked into laughing.
Synopsis.
Sometimes you get shocked into laughing. Yeah, for sure.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still. Who's the director?
It's this
from
Hungarian director. Yeah, this is his first English language film. So it's kind of a big deal.
Whoa.
What's cool is that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe his wife wrote the film. So it's like a husband-wife combo. So that's pretty slick.
Yeah, I can't confirm, but I'm going to say she did.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. This is supposed to be a big deal. This guy's a big shot director over in Europe. I watched a Hungarian film one time. It's probably this guy. As I was watching the foreign films for the Oscars, I like to do that.
What did you watch? Do you remember?
No, I just remember that it was the Hungary submission. Let me see if I can find out real quick since I'm at my computer.
Let me read all 25 of his titles and see if you can. I've got Minos Sigrit Mlgorsky.
Oh, I'm sorry, come again?
Haribo.
What?
I'm not going to continue.
Oh, my. Hold on. Let me find this. This is going to be bad radio, but I'm gonna look it up.
Joan of Arc of the Narc bus. Joan of Arc of the night bus.
Maybe.
Lost and
I
Found.
don't know. I'm never gonna find this actually. Sorry. I'll follow up.
Delta.
Not that anyone cares, but I will follow up. So once I figure it out. So.
Okay.
All right. That's it for movie news. That's it for what's popping. You got anything else, Kirk?
I got nothing.
Nothing.
I got nothing. All of those were surprises.
Tough news week. Am I right? Brutal.
Yes.
Brutal. I was like, hey, man, theaters are starting to open. Good movies or big movies are starting to come out, like big names like the New Mutants and Tenet and Mulan. We should go back to weekly episodes and give it a shot. And then our first weekly episode after we made that decision is the movie news situation is so rough. So rough.
Yes.
But we made it through. We're on the other side. And now we get to talk about Tenet, all caps, backwards in Tenet. Whew. Are you ready, Kirk?
Is it me?
Yes. It's you. You have to synopsis this mind-bending film. Good luck. Godspeed.
Well, Cam, I'm glad I was correct in thinking that it was me, that it was my time to synopsis. And we're going to do a little throwback as we used to do in our episodes where we wrote down our synopses because this movie is riddled with surprises and I don't want to spoil anything. So here we go. Tenet. This palindrome is defined as a principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy. In Christopher Nolan's Tenet, we meet an unnamed CIA agent whose life got turned upside down. He joins a secret organization that holds an unusual key to saving the world. In theaters now.
That's the throwback sound. Sorry, it was late. It was late. This is a live show. Not really, but we're doing this for the first time, so things are going to be weird and wonky and late.
Yes.
That was beautiful, Kirk. I loved it. Sorry that I stomped over the end of it with my harp sound effect.
I thought it was perfectly timed.
Yes. Yeah, that's Tenet. And as straightforward as that sounds, yeah, not so. It's there's a lot of moving pieces. So let's dive into it, Kirk. Who is your Oscar going to?
And the Oscar goes to Mr. Robert Pattinson.
Oh, RPatz.
Yes. God rest his beautiful COVID soul. He's still alive.
Wow, I was
let's keep him alive.
What's going on here? Don't speak that into the universe.
Breaking news.
Oh no, Kirk. Don't speak that into the universe.
I am laughing again at a morbid topic.
It's late. It's okay.
So for Robert Pattinson, I chose him. Partly because I still feel utter remorse from my past unfounded hatred for him before we actually really watched his canon of work. He brings it every time he's on screen. There's not a wasted moment. What I love about him in Tenet is that he is kind of our key exposition holder in this film. he always kind of from the moment you see him, he's like, he knows more than everyone else, and or does he? There's times when you're like, man, maybe he doesn't, and then there's all these ebbs and flows that he does throughout the entire film that are just so perfectly placed, and that's why he kept surprising me. Like, I bet he knows the thread of this subplot, and then he didn't, and then they like randomly exploded this other one, blew up this other storyline that I was following. I was like, what's going on here, Robert Pattinson? You're just doing too good of a job. And he's our exposition holder and dispenser, whereas, John David Washington is more like the audience, and dare I say, the audience surrogate. Oh, yes, that's a new term.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Google. Anyways, Robert Pattinson, I think, is going to win Best Actor someday. I hope very soon. Maybe for The Batman, but he absolutely captured my attention on this.
So
movie.
when you say audience surrogate, are you talking about
Yes.
There is usually in most television programs and movies a character who is meant to be living the same experience as us, like getting information at the same time as us? Okay. I've never heard it phrased that way.
One that you have mentioned several times, and I wanted to say it, but I wanted to say it in a super nerdy way, and a term that I want to use on every episode henceforth. And kudos to you for knowing that element of film. And I knew there had to be a term out there. Audience surrogate.
I love it.
What he feels. And that's John David Washington, not
RPatz. Yeah. No, I love it. I think it's such an important thing. It's such an important role, and it's one that you really shouldn't be aware of until after the fact, right? If it's done well. I mean, I think the most notable example of this for me, the one that I always give, is like Ryan in The Office. So Ryan in The Office, when he first comes, is like just kind of taking everything in and is like, what is happening? He reacts similar to the way that we would react if we were in that situation. He's kind of like underplaying things. He's like the metronome. He's real steady. What's funny about in that show, like, he obviously becomes completely insane, and that's meant to like sort of show like the satire that is The Office. It's supposed to show that, because here's this guy who like was the neutral and now is like the extreme. I think characters like that are important because they help in a subconscious way drive home the message or the themes of the movie in a way that, you, like I said, it's subconscious. You might not always pick up on it. And that, my friend, is why former St. Louis Rams running back, Mr. John David Washington, is who I'm giving the Oscar to.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a deep cut for those of you guys who didn't know that. John David Washington was an NFL player. Okay, he was on the St. Louis Rams during preseason one year. I actually remember it vividly because he was Denzel Washington's son, and it was a big deal, especially in St. Louis. I mean, it was kind of a big thing. So John David Washington, my previous exposure to him was in Black Klansman. He was played a really good role, acted masterfully. It was kind of an interesting, sort of offbeat, character, and one where I was really eager afterwards to see him in another role to understand who he is as an actor. And so this was something that I was just really excited about. I thought he was really excellent. He's playing the protagonist, is both who he is and also the name of his character, believe it or not. That's who he is. And he really does, as that audience surrogate, he controls the emotional dynamics of the movie. He is the one who tells you how you're supposed to feel, because this is a cerebral movie. It's one that is unfolding quickly. It's one that can be confusing. It's one where you're getting lost in the details. And all along, John David Washington there is to ground you, to tell you when it's okay to relax by throwing in a quick quip, to tell you when things are getting real by, jumping into action. Mm-hmm. And he balances it all really well. I mean, he's being asked to play this really, I hope it's not an overstatement, but a James Bond-esque character, someone who's suave and cool and under control, and someone who is precise and expert level, but is also relatable. And so it really is a pretty complex character. And, for Chris Nolan to trust him with that, he had to be very good. And I thought he was great. I really did. I really liked this character. Would love to see him in more action movies, man. I think he's built for it. I think I thought he was excellent. I thought his physical acting was good. I thought his timing and his delivery was spot on. So I want more of John David Washington. I thought he was really, really excellent.
Yeah, some of my favorite times that he is on the screen is when there are it's very few moments, very few. It's probably like one frame where it's like, whoa, he looks like Denzel in that one moment. And it's just kind of exciting. It feels like,
or like
you
sounds
have,
like him,
this
like
secret.
delivers something like him. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And it's so brief, which tells you how different he is from his father. And that it's simply because that's his dad and he's his
it's just
son.
built
and
into it, right?
Like this moment, it's either a smile, a look, or like a small laugh, like like it's so great. That's what I love. I love watching him perform. He's fantastic.
Good call for sure. Okay, let's go to Scene Stealer. Who you got?
My scene stealer is Mr. Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, nice. Good choice.
Yes. Kenneth Branagh is like the Irish Shakespearean father I never had. I have a father.
Okay, go on.
I just didn't have Kenneth Branagh as my father.
Not many people did. I think I'm right in saying that. I don't think many people did have Kenneth Branagh as their father.
No, do any? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know. Let's find out.
I feel like I look a lot like Kenneth Branagh. I feel like in my formative years as an actor, I was watching lots of Shakespeare, and he was in every 90s and early 2000s Shakespeare film. And then recently, I mean, I've never seen him in a bad role. I mean, let me take it back. I have seen him in bad roles.
I was like, oh, really?
But despite the bad role, he is so focused on doing good with it. You hear about actors in movies that they've hated in the past. So like, oh my gosh, like Ryan Reynolds famously how much he hates Green Lantern, right? But you'll never hear Kenneth Branagh go back and be like, well, I really hated that movie. He's just like, I mean, I did my best.
He's a pro.
He is so good. Yes, he's masterful in dialects, stillness. Sometimes he just doesn't even move anything but his lips and his eyes in a scene, and you just must pay attention in any movie that he's in, but especially this one. It is critical, and I was drawn to him every beat that he was on.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I'm glad that it's a performance that we're highlighting. This was a tough one to choose, right? I mean, both of these awards were really tough to hand out, and I mean, I went back and forth on giving mine to Kenneth Branagh. I'm glad I didn't, but I'm glad you did, because it's a performance that I wanted to highlight, and one that really does drive this movie in a way that, again, you're probably not totally aware of until after the fact. You're like, man, that was a really good performance. Great choice. Gotta love Kenneth Branagh.
Thank you.
Okay, my scene stealer. It's got to be Elizabeth Debicki, man. I really, really growing to love this actor. She hasn't had a bunch of massive roles. I was first exposed to her in a limited series called The Night Manager, starring Tom Hiddleston, which was and the guy from House, Hugh Laurie. Really good show. I can't remember. Was it on Prime? Did you watch that one, Kirk? The Night Manager.
It's got. Did you see Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston. Yep.
I have not. I've seen episode 1, and I need to go back and watch the rest.
Yeah, really good program. I really enjoyed it. And she was great in that role. And I was like, man, who is this person? She is just killing it. Thought she was so great. She also plays Aisha in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She's the gold woman. Really that's a fun role. I think, I saw an interview with her where she talked about how much she liked playing that character, and it's one that you can tell she had a lot of fun playing. But I was really excited whenever I saw her on the cast list for this one, because I was like, man, yes, now the world can know, what she's capable of, and who she is as an actor. And I thought she was great. I thought, much like what we talked about with Maisie Williams last week, just like a very under control performance, one that she didn't get too high or too low. She was exactly where she needed to be. There was no overacting, and the emotions were just spot on. I mean, she just delivered. I thought it was a really, really masterful performance. I think she will continue to get more acting roles. She is, I don't know. I mean, I think that she is really like sort of the heart of the movie in a way. I think that I may have already called John David Washington the heart and soul. I think he's the soul of the movie. I think she's the heart of the movie. Okay, I'll draw that distinction right there, because she really does provide a level of humanness that is super important, especially in a time-bending, mind-bending spy type thriller. From Chris Nolan, it needs a level of humanity. It needs stakes that feel relatable. And her character provided that, but it's not just the way that they wrote her character, it's the way that she delivered it, right? Like, it has to all work in conjunction with one another, and that's why I thought she was so good. I really, really thought she was great. So get used to hearing that name. She's going to be around.
She is so mature on stage, and I just, in this moment, 1 moment ago, I found out that she is about 8 months younger than me, and my world is shattered.
Yeah, no, she is, though.
I like to think of myself as mature. No.
She does. That's what I'm talking about. She has a level of control and poise that just is palpable. You can feel it, and it's really good. She was great, and she was acting in a lot of scenes opposite of Kenneth Branagh in some pretty emotional moments, and man, she was right there with it. It was really great, really impactful.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Great choice.
Okay,
next up.
Yeah, Showstopper. What you got?
Showstopper. So my showstopper is maybe a little bit different than what everyone might expect from the trailer.
Okay.
From the trailer and from the hype of this movie. This is kind of like just known. They crashed a real plane in this movie. They crashed a real plane. It was cheaper to crash a real plane than it was to do the CGI for a plane explosion and wreckage. So I was like, that's going to be it, right? That's going to be what defines this movie.
Yeah.
Hardly. There are so many other things that happen in this movie. What I'm going with as my showstopper are the practical effects in general, and more specifically, there's my Apple Pencil for those of you watching on YouTube.
Do the rubber pencil thing. Do the rubber pencil thing. You know how to do that? Oh, it doesn't really come through
working?
on video. Sorry.
I don't think I'm doing it right. Anyways, glad I could spruce this up with my Apple Pencil. What really came into the forefront was that this movie is about time inversion. You've heard this. They've filmed some scenes forwards and backwards. Yes. Some scenes, and in the descriptions online, they're like certain scenes, but this was like 60% of the movie. So this is like such an incredible directorial cinematography championship.
Feet.
I don't know. I can't think anymore. Feet. As simple as 4 letters. Thank you. My mind is still processing that, like how they would do that, where obviously you film the scene forward, and then they film it backward. Well, do they speak their words backwards as well? Do they have like footprints on the ground to make sure they hit their previous mark? Like, that is incredible to know that they weren't just rewinding the tape, that they were playing a scene forward as the actors were moving backwards. it's just too much to comprehend, and that is what the showstopper has to be for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's so this was undoubtedly going to be the conversation that we were going to have. It demands to be talked about. It's the thing that people, I think, do want to hear about. It is, what Chris Nolan was sort of touting, in the last few weeks on press tours. He was saying, fun one-liners like, this movie has less CGI than most rom-coms. I think that was a line that I heard him say a couple times. And so you're like, man, how is that possible? But it's because of the stellar camera work. I mean, we talk about cinematographers like Roger Deakins and what he was able to accomplish in 1917 by using angles and camera tricks and things like that. And to your point, like the scenes that are going forward and backwards, you'll notice that as precise as they look, and I'm sure they are as precise as they can possibly be, they're also at different angles. So they're not just running the camera back. They're at different angles. They're from different perspectives. We're seeing different parts of it. And so I think a lot of it does have to do with the cinematographer and the editor and what they were able to get. It's really quite impressive. To your point, it's a lot. They do it a lot in this movie. It's not like one big scene. It's like you said, 60% of the film. I mean, there is a ton of time bending and a lot of this going on, and it all looks very cohesive. So, yeah, it's wild. I think mine is in a similar vein. I mean, mine's the production design. My showstopper is the production design, and just to kind of like fill you guys in on what I mean whenever I say that. So, production design. This is the team of people who, the director and the writers, they say, this is our movie, this is our vision for it, have some storyboards, etc. The production design team's job is to bring that to life, meaning what are the filming locations? What does it need to look like? What do we need to use? What is the set design going to look like? They're the ones coordinating all of these things to sort of work in conjunction, lighting. They have a hand in everything. They're sort of like, they're very much involved in, making all of it come together in a cohesive way. They did a stellar job. Again, we talk about not very much CGI, but this movie, the reason people use a lot of CGI, especially in sci-fi, action, adventure type movies, is just to really like add vibrancy, add texture, things that the production design team for this movie were able to create organically. I mean, they shot scenes in Estonia, India, Italy, Denmark, the UK, Norway, the United States. I mean, they were looking for the exact right places, the exact right textures, aesthetics, look, lighting, everything. And they pulled it off because this movie has tons of color and texture. It's very flashy. It looks very expensive. It looks great. I mean, it just really is really good. And when you leave this movie, at least for me, I'm stuck with all of those big set pieces and, what it looked like. Those are the things that stick with me more so than even the story actually is like, man, remember when they were in the Amalfi Coast and they were on that yacht? Like, that was really cool. And like, remember when they were, running up that skyscraper in India, just like really, really cool cinematic moments that, or even the opera house, the very first scene in the movie, like just really, really cool looks that I won't soon forget. And that's similar to Inception, actually, another Chris Nolan movie. Just had all of these really cool textures and set designs. And so the production design team gets 2 thumbs way, way up from me, and that's my showstopper.
Beautiful. All right. I'm trying to currently adjust my seating.
I'm hurting.
I've got to...
This desk chair that I'm in is brutal.
It's beautiful though. It's like beautiful white leather. It looks like.
It looks a lot better than it feels. I can tell you that right now.
It looks like, like the very first iteration of Sims, of The Sims. Yeah. Like that's, you do your cheat code with like rosebud, semicolon, or whatever it was. And you just rake up just billions of dollars and you're like, I'm going to get all of these. I'm going to have like an entire room, like a computer lab in my 4th grade classroom. That's what that white chair that you're sitting in looks like.
What a specific reference. I dig it. I love it.
It's the very first thing I thought of when I saw it.
So it looks great. It's currently destroying my tailbone and my lower back as we speak. I can feel it just like a knife.
Yeah, and this desk, I got this beautiful new desk given to me by family, but I'm a weird height. Like I'm not tall, but I'm not short, and so like,
You're
and
medium.
the office chair that I'm medium, and the office chair that I'm in, it doesn't hold its height. So slowly in this video, I'm sure I've been just
You're just like not. It's
barely.
not perceptible, but if you were to show the first frame of the video versus like 2 minutes ago, you would be shrunken into the floor.
Exactly. And so I'm just having some struggles right now. And
I
I
feel
just
you.
want to
Listen,
tell
new
everyone.
format. We're working through it. We're in the thick of it right now. You guys should all feel very sorry for
Good.
us. Director shoes. What are you thinking?
How can I even think of director shoes at a time like this? But I guess I mean the biggest one for me, and people always say that this is a character trait of the director, but I say no. I say that is false. Here it
Okay.
is. I always like to lead in, like tease everyone, like, "Huh, do you know what I'm talking about?" What I'm talking about is the audio in this film.
Yeah.
The score is at times drowning out the dialogue.
Yeah.
There was a new composer that Christopher Nolan chose. I don't know if it was scheduling conflicts or what, but no big deal. The score was still really cool.
Score was great. It wasn't my
Right.
showstopper. The score was exquisite.
It was very good. You talked about textures with the visuals. It perfectly matched those, and was comparable to the level that they were at. But the volume at which the score resonates in the theater, I hope only the theater. There were moments when I had no idea what was going on. People say that happens in all Christopher Nolan films, but
let me tell you, it happens in Interstellar in a major way, and it really actually kind of ruined that movie for me. Actually, yeah, okay. It's a toughie. He's definitely done it in Interstellar. Yeah, I don't get that vibe in others. Offhand, specifically not Dunkirk. I thought the sound mixing and editing was really good in that movie, but this one for sure.
Yes.
I mean, it was right there with Interstellar for me.
It was upsetting because I find myself a pretty savvy moviegoer. There were times as I'm going to call it movie intelligence. There were times when my movie intelligence was tingling. I'm like, oh, look at this storyline. I think it's going to play out like this, and it did. And then there were other times when it didn't. But the times that it didn't, I feel like I was what would you call it? I was at a disadvantage.
Bamboozled, hoodwinked.
I couldn't tell. Bamboozled.
Shanghai.
Because I didn't have all the details, because I didn't have all the dialogue. Yeah. And when I read some articles explaining the parts that I didn't understand, it was like, well, I bet that was in the dialogue. And then it was. It says, oh, so-and-so says this and says this. Yeah. So that frustrated me a whole bunch. I have a second gripe. Okay. Is that this movie, above almost all of his other feature films, lacked a certain ethos to it. It lacked a certain reflection of the human condition that of loss or grief or love or hope, that there was the job of this movie was so big that it had to convey so many things and give us all the breadcrumbs, that I think that's why we didn't get this. And that's what I really love about Christopher Nolan, is that he's able to really make you latch on to the humanity of the world in his movies. And this one, I felt a little bit disconnected than I have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on the money there, man. With both, specifically the sound. I mean, I was right there with you there, especially early on in the movie. It seemed more so than later. Early on, when you're just like really trying to put the pieces together and trying to make sure you're hopping on the train, sooner rather than later, so you don't miss a bunch of stuff. So much dialogue buried in the score unnecessarily.
Yes.
And buried in loud sound effects and things of that nature. I mean, Interstellar came straight to my mind, and I was like, man, that sucks that this is happening again. But I think it must be some sort of choice on his part. I don't really know. It feels intentional, but it's
maybe
strange.
Yeah, maybe he's like, they're gonna put this together too easily.
I don't know, man.
I'm gonna take the I'm going to turn the bass up so loud in every theater that they won't be able to know what's happening until the fourth watch,
Yeah.
and then they can feel like they finally cracked the code.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I think that segues well into my director's shoes, which is similar to yours but different. I just think he got lost in the minutia of the idea a little bit. He got a little bit obsessed with the novelty of it because he goes to a level of detail that really feels unnecessary. Actually, I think he actually over detailed this movie, which is sort of a strange thing to say, because there are things that happen early on that are so detailed and really sort of inconsequential to what the movie is trying to accomplish. And there are things that are like, I'm sure, like you said, on fourth or fifth watch, you'd be like, oh, like, oh, I get that. But I think, like, in general, this movie, you walk out of it, hopefully most people will agree with me, you walk out of it understanding generally what happened, but you don't understand the minutia. You don't understand everything. And not that you have to, but it just felt a bit ambitious and a bit over detailed, I think even more so than what he's done in the past. Because I think with Inception, which I have been comparing it to because as far as mind bending, it's similar in nature. But I think with Inception, that movie is tough to follow the first time around, but by the end it all really comes together, and you could watch that movie one time and be like, okay, got it. And not only just like I understand what happened, but like I understand it at a level that I'm comfortable with. I left this movie like I got it, but I don't understand it at the level that I would like to. I don't understand it as detailed as I would like to, and I think it's going to take quite a few more times for me to really put it all together. So I just think this was unbridled Nolan. I mean, just in every possible way. He was totally uncaged. He had all of the resources at his disposal, and this was just totally unapologetically him, right? And for better or worse. And that's what I would put in the worst category, along with the sound, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's go final thoughts and then scores. I'm really anxious to see where we net out on this one because I frankly have no idea.
So I threw it under the bus there pretty hard just a moment ago. But at the end of the day, this is a technically good film. This is a film with a fantastic production, a fantastic cast. It is a fantastic story, despite that the flaws that we pointed out. So it's not. I'm sorry. It still is one of his best. It's not the best, but I am still super glad I saw this and that this was made. I'm going to see it as soon as possible again. I'm going to give this thing a 7.9 kernels out of 10.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that it's interesting because there are more flaws with this movie than what I just mentioned and what you mentioned as well. But I actually think, man, that makes me like it more. Like I actually liked seeing Nolan just like totally in his zone, in his element, just like doing his thing. It was really interesting, and I think he went places that he hasn't gone before just because of like studio restrictions and I don't know, just like maybe budgetary restrictions. Like he went some places with this movie that were really slick and felt like at times he was just doing it just to do it because it was cool. This movie is an unparalleled level of cool. Like the vibe that it gives off is just really slick. It just feels clean and crisp like a spy movie should, but in a way that's just like different and just way more suave than other films. Even, it's Bond level coolness. It really is. It's very, very awesome. I'm a sucker for it. I loved it. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. I'm giving it a 9.1 actually out of 10. And that's acknowledging that it is a flawed movie. It's not perfect, but it's right in my wheelhouse, and it gives me, as a film watcher and just personally speaking for myself, it gives me everything that I need to be entertained. I expect to watch it many, 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 many more times.
Beautiful.
All right, that's Tenet. If you guys saw it, let us know your thoughts. Remember, keep it spoiler free. All right, we're not trying to blow anybody up.
Tenet.
Gonna
Can you
put
it again right now
right
over
on
my
Kirk's
head?
forehead. But yeah, hit us up on social. We can't wait to talk to you guys about this movie. If you want to talk spoilers, we're around. DM us. I was talking to our buddy Stefano, who I will just say Stefano has impeccable taste in movies. The dude is he is on another level. He is a really good guy to talk shop with. I was talking to him about another film that dropped on Netflix. I'm thinking of Ending Things earlier this week, and we were talking about Tenet as well. And if you want to talk spoilers, we're around. We'd love to get into it as well, but let's do it in the DMs rather than on the comment section, so we don't ruin anybody's day. But yeah, that's Tenet. Hit us up, and definitely, again, remember, make sure you see it in a theater. Okay, you have to see it in a theater if you're able.
Yes.
All right. On that note, we're talking a lot about Chris Nolan as a director and who he is. So in celebration of Christopher Nolan, who is the well, I don't want to go too far. The director of our generation, one of them, he's really good. Modern filmmakers don't get a lot better than he. We're going to do our Schoolyard pick of Chris Nolan films.
Yes, we are.
I get to kick it off.
No.
Sorry, bud. So it's worth noting, including Tenet, there are 11 feature-length Chris Nolan films, which leaves one of them out in the cold on this Schoolyard pick, and which probably means that we'll be picking, well, maybe I shouldn't assume. One of us will be picking a movie we probably don't like here towards the end, actually. Just guessing. The first pick is extraordinarily easy, though. It's The Dark Knight. It's The Dark Knight.
All right.
You talk about a perfect movie. It's close. It's really close. I mean, it's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. It hits every single box for me. It just checks it all. It's well written. It's different. It's gritty. Really well acted by Christian Bale and Heath Ledger, just on another level in that movie. And I just think it's a masterpiece. I really do. And it's an easy first pick for me. I've watched it so many times.
Excellent choice. I'm so thankful you picked that, because my all-time favorite Nolan flick is Inception.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you might go there.
I was worried because I think I took you down at the last Schoolyard pick with something like great, whatever it might have been, because I got to go first. So while I will miss The Dark Knight in my list, I am super glad that Leo gets to stay in mine, because Leonardo DiCaprio is Christopher Nolan the director of our generation? Maybe, but without a doubt, Leonardo DiCaprio is the actor of many generations, and I just can't get enough of him. I want to be Kenneth Branagh's son, but I want to be Leonardo DiCaprio's brother.
Yeah, man.
I love him. I love him. Inception. I remember that was like one of the first dates that I took Aubrey on back in 2010. And I remember leaving that movie feeling so cool, even though I had no reason to be. It was just such a cool movie, and you just kind of followed, but there were like these holes, but you felt like, wow, that is a life-changing film that should win every Oscar, and got no love from the Academy Awards. So
yeah.
Inception is mine. I'll watch that movie anytime it's on, and I'll often also just throw it on in the background.
It's a great pick. I went back and watched it for the first time in a little while, and just all the feels. It's so funny when you watch a movie that's so formative in your life, and something that just really defines your taste in movies, and that one is definitely one of them. I remember it's one of those you remember where you were when you saw it. You remember how you felt when you saw it. It's so good, and I do think it was nominated for Best Picture, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm gonna double check.
I think that was the year that they expanded it to 10 nominees, and I'm pretty sure it got nominated, but I could be wrong.
Checking right now.
Okay, my number 2 pick. I'm going with Memento. This is my first exposure to Chris Nolan, and it's awesome. I think just a psychological thriller that stands on a tier by itself. It's so different. It tells not a linear story, but sort of a circular story, and does so in a way that by the end you're so floored by, how it's all unfolded. And I'll never forget, that was one of those psychological thriller movies where I just, mouth agape at the end, like, just like an audible gasp, like, oh man, what an incredible trick he's played here. Really, really good. And why am I blanking? Guy Pearce? Yeah.
Guy Pearce, Joey Pants.
Yeah, Joey Pants. Guy Pearce is great in that movie, and it's just a really good one. I've a little bit on the disturbing side. I've heard some people say that movie scarred them for life, which is a little bit interesting to me because it doesn't rub me that way. I think it is like sometimes when you get shocked by something, hard enough, it's like so bone chilling that you like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. Like every time I watch this scene where they kill the frogs in E.T. with the chloroform, I'm like, man, there's this weird feeling I get like I'm suffocating. I don't know. So maybe it's like that for some people.
So it's not like it's not like scarring in the traditional sense. It's just like, oh man, that really shocked me and sort of like gave me chills, and I didn't like that that feeling. So that's an interesting one. But Memento is my second pick. I love that movie.
Beautiful. I'm going to go with The Prestige.
Oh, that was going to be my next one, you jerk.
Not to be in any sort of competition ever with The Illusionist, with Edward Norton and stinking, what's her name? Jessica Biel. Sorry, girl. No, dude, I'm talking The Prestige. I'm talking Christian Bale. I'm talking Hugh Jackman. Scarlett Johansson's in this movie. Michael Caine. Duh. So he's just on the payroll. So he just shows
he's
up.
On retainer. He's like, what? You're making a movie? All right, I'll be there.
he was in Tenet, and I was like, I didn't think you were supposed to be here. Where did you just wander onto the set? No, dude, The Prestige, one of the biggest twists that I don't think more than like 3 people in the world could have guessed.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing just blew me out of the water. I think magicians are super neat. I think that in 2020 they're probably super what would you call it? Out of work because they have no audiences. So
I don't know. David Blaine was like flying around on a bunch of balloons the other day. I was like, "Hey man, you?"
try to be out there, but that film is just something that I think should be required watching at some point in school, because it does everything that you don't expect, and it does it well. So The Prestige,
it's a unique story too. That's another thing I like about it. Just like it's not something you would expect or compare it to. There's not many films you can compare it to, really. And certainly not The Illusionist, as you said, even though those films came out the same year, right? The same year?
The same year, like within months of each other.
It's weird how that happens, right? It's so weird. Okay, hate to be this guy. One of us was statistically probably going to do this. Pick 2 Batman movies. I'm going with Batman Begins. And the reason that I'm choosing Batman Begins over The Dark Knight Rises right now is just because Batman Begins was extremely ambitious. It was a flavor of a Batman movie that people had not seen. I mean, even, the Tim Burton Batmans, the Michael Keatons, the Val Kilmers, and then, nipples on the bat suit, George Clooney. That's a very different breed of Batman movie than what Chris Nolan tried to achieve here. And he really reinvented the comic book movie genre with this film. He totally shifted the way people think about superhero movies, and they were like, whoa, we thought these were like kind of a joke, or like in the same ilk as like, I don't know, goofy sci-fi movies. Like, you mean these could be real dramatic stories with depth and character dev and all the things that you see in Oscar award-winning films? And Chris Nolan's like, yes, heck yes, they can be. And I really think that he did it before anybody else did it. He did it before Marvel did it with Iron Man. I mean, he set the stage, and I'm forever grateful for to him for that. And Batman Begins is really slick. Its origin stories are tough to pull off, especially for heroes like Batman that people feel like they know like the back of their hand. And he just took a totally different approach, and one that I think only a genius mind like his could have really come up with, and he nailed it. So Batman Begins.
Yeah, I had a hard time watching that one. I didn't, the first time I watched it, and maybe even the second time, I just wasn't down for it, you know? I was just like, all right, I'll just watch it on TBS. I did not see it in theaters.
Oh.
And then, here comes The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, and I'm like, all right, I got to watch that again. So I'm like caught up, and thank goodness I did.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and definitely better. That's interesting. That one's on the top of your list.
Number 3 for me. What's your next one? What's your number 3?
I'm gonna go with. Gosh, this is hard. I'm gonna take Interstellar.
You can have it.
I know you. I love Matthew McConaughey. I love. I think Michael Caine might be in that movie as well.
No way.
Jessica Chastain, baller. Okay, so
yeah,
I love that movie. I love space movies more than most. I love limited series space things, TV series as well. But this one, I really thought was really cool. I just loved how. I love movies that can be in the future, but not the too far in the near but distant future. That is what really captures me, and I felt like that world building was like perfect on his part. Yeah. So Interstellar.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a like an opposite experience than like you with Batman Begins, because for me, like I saw Interstellar in theaters with you, I think actually.
I think
and
so.
I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. I liked it. I was like, yeah, that was good. And then as I talked about it more and like as I kind of sat with it, I was like, man, you know what? I don't think I loved that movie. And I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, don't love this movie. But it's I don't know why. Just one of those things, you know. But good pick. My next one. Tenet. I'm gonna choose Tenet. And I already told you what I like about this movie. It's 4th on my list probably just because I figured you weren't going to pick it. So I'll take it off the board and push some of those other guys down. I really liked Tenet. And you know my thoughts about it because I just spent like 30 minutes telling you about them. So that's my 4th pick.
Could you go
you want me to rehash? Yeah, sure. No, not going to do that. You're number 4.
What number am I on?
4.
My number 4. Okay, I'm going to go with a little movie called Insomnia.
Oh, I wondered if this one would actually make its way off the board.
Yeah, this movie, Al Pacino, Robin Williams, Hilary Swank. I was super excited when this movie finally came to a streaming service because I was like, I don't know. You know, that was one of his earlier works. I don't know if it's that great. Let me wait till I can see it. Dude, this movie, you want to talk about feeling what the main character is feeling?
Yeah,
Al Pacino gets like 4 minutes of sleep in this movie, if that, and it's so good. It's so good. And Robin Williams is like losing his mind, and Hilary Swank is like this go-getter. The trio there, that little triangle of characters is perfecto. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's some of Al Pacino's best work, and Christopher Nolan's. I love it. Yeah,
good call. I'm glad that you chose it. It's one that I haven't seen in a long time, so for me I was like, I don't really want to pick that one. It's not exactly fresh in my mind, but it's one that I've been meaning to go back and watch because it's good. I remember liking it and it being pretty crazy, so good choice. All right, for my final choice, I'm going with Dunkirk.
Okay.
Really liked Dunkirk. Cool war movie, different take on a war movie. I love how Chris Nolan put his spin on a story. A story that, isn't like in the crazy Nolan verse where he kind of can have his way with things, one that's set within the realm of reality. But he did this land, sea, air thing where one how does it go? One is like unfolding over 3 days. One is unfolding over 1 day, and like one is 3 hours or something like that. It's something like that. Like,
Yeah.
you're watching 3 stories unfolding simultaneously, but over different periods of time. And so you end up with this like weird thing where like every once in a while they catch up to each other, and you're like, ooh, you're like the Leonardo DiCaprio Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme where he's pointing at the TV screen. You're like, oh, there it is.
Oh yeah. Oh, there I am.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was cool. I love that Chris Nolan made this movie PG-13 intentionally, so that people would get a chance to hear this really awesome war movie in school and get to like actually experience his movies in a school setting and in a historical setting. So it's a really neat film, and one that looks great, is well acted, and is really, really cool. Especially really cool to watch in high definition. It's a great looking movie.
Ooh, yes, it is. And it's got Kenneth Branagh.
Yes, it does.
So there it is.
All right.
My daddy.
Your final pick.
My Irish daddy.
There's only 2 movies left.
The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that's sort of the obvious choice. Have you seen Following?
Yes,
yeah,
I
same.
have.
Yeah, not my fave.
It was his first.
Yes.
It's definitely cool to watch because Dark Knight Rises. If you're listening to this podcast, there's a 99% chance you've seen The Dark Knight Rises. So let's talk about The Following. It was his first movie. It's very noir-esque. Yeah. It's in black and white. It's a like Tenet, a huge mystery. You're like, what am I watching? What's happening? And it's in a way it's faster paced than some of his other movies. At least I feel like that. So it's definitely worth a watch, but not at the top of his list.
Yeah, definitely not. And The Dark Knight Rises, people sort of rag on that one out of the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't really dig that. I think it's pretty good, and I think based on where he sort of left us with The Dark Knight, it seems like the logical next step. But I think people didn't like the open-endedness of it and sort of like where they leave us, which is fair, I guess. But he didn't build a trilogy that really was made for like a happy, clean-cut ending. He kind of built something that was, it just wouldn't have been on theme, I don't think, for him to just be like happy, everything's good. I mean, he ended it sort of like as happily as he could without leaving things like totally closed off.
And people hated how dark the transition of the Dark Knight to the Dark Knight Rises, like where Dark Knight ended. They're like, okay, great, this is the trajectory versus where the Dark Knight Rises begins. They're like, wait, what? But it's like, hey,
yeah,
just follow the story,
right?
Just get over
just
yourself.
Live it, okay? It's gonna be okay. That's
right.
It's gonna be all right.
Just trust in Christopher Nolan.
Exactly.
Just do some yoga like I am right now. I don't know. Are hand motions yoga?
No,
I don't know.
Definitely not.
Not sure.
All right. And on that note, that is all we have for you this week. Thank you guys so much for listening and going through this sort of quasi-celebration of Chris Nolan with us. Couple of housekeeping things, as we always end with. As we discussed, we're going to be reviewing Mulan next week. So if you're someone who's interested in this movie, or if you're someone who's trying to decide if you should pay the money, be sure to tune in next week so that you can hear our thoughts on it and sort of make your decision based off of that. It's something I'm excited for. I think on one of the previous episodes, I said that I really do feel like this will be the best case study for the Disney remakes, because I think that they've approached it the right way by telling the story a different way, because that's what a remake is supposed to be. There has to be a purpose for remaking a movie, and they haven't really truthfully done that yet outside of perhaps Jungle Book and Pete's Dragon. But I think this one will be interesting because it's one of their really, really valuable properties, and so it's definitely something that we're excited about reviewing. It'll be good. Next up, the 52-week movie challenge is back on track. We're moving. We're rolling down the track now, man. Chugga, chugga, chugga. So yeah, week 7 was last week. That blog dropped on Labor Day, on Monday. And it was to watch a stop motion film, which is really fun. I reviewed Chicken Run. So if you want to see my thoughts, you can go to popcorn4breakfast.com And next week, week 8, is to watch a film set during a historic war. After Da 5 Bloods, I'm really into Vietnam War movies. I've watched a couple of them. I'm trying to decide between The Deer Hunter and Apocalypse Now. So I'm going to put that poll up on social probably Saturday.
That is a difficult choice.
Right? Yeah, so I'm going to put that poll up on social, I think, on Saturday, and we'll see what we get back. So that'll be interesting. Other than that, hopefully this thing ends up on YouTube. I don't know. I'm gonna hit stop recording here in a bit, and we're gonna see what our video quality is at, what our audio quality is at. Hopefully you guys get a chance to listen and watch along with us. But thanks for bearing with us in the new format. I know it probably had a couple of kinks, but we really enjoyed putting this together, as we do every episode. So
this could be, Cameron, this could be the lost episode.
It could be. Yeah, it could be.
If it doesn't record well, or we'll just come out and be like, hey, sorry, that Tenet episode, we'll check back in 10 years. We throw it online for bad audio.
And on the flip side, if this works out, it could be a good new format for us to give some more video content to the people, which is something that, we kind of committed to for this week, and for this year, and we're trying to get off the ground, COVID or no COVID, right?
That's right.
All right, and that's where we'll leave you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, a special thanks to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, and of course, our original music is by the group Rhetoric. Check those guys out on Amazon Music, Apple Music, wherever you get your music, on Spotify, wherever, and we will talk to you guys next week.
See you later.